I, 20 female, have had 3 close friends in college: Grace, 21 female, Matt, 21 male, and Laura, 21 female. Laura really likes using mental health terminology. She explores a lot of labels from those therapist influencers online. She was told that she has an anxiety disorder and depression, but that's the only diagnosis she's been given so far. Recently, she's been exploring autism and ADHD. Matt wanted to propose to Grace. They've been dating for a while. He's been planning the proposal for a couple of weeks. While the proposal was very intimate between them, I was very involved in scheduling the after-proposal event at a restaurant. The specifics of that are irrelevant to the story, but it was lovely, and Grace and Matt seemed really happy. Laura told us that she didn't want to be involved in planning the proposal because it reminded her of her parents' divorce. She said that she might come to the post-engagement party. Well, come the day of the engagement, and Matt and I both forgot to check in on Laura. It shouldn't be Matt's fault at all because he was occupied with far more important things, but I felt a bit guilty about not reminding her. She ended up not coming to the party. The next day, she starts posting online some dramatic, for lack of a better word, things about how it was traumatizing to see how little her friends cared about her, and that she'll be updating her followers on her trauma therapy journey. She posts that she's now in a dark place, and she thinks she has PTSD. For context, I'm sensitive to mentions of trauma and PTSD because I was diagnosed with PTSD by a psychologist in my last year of high school after something had happened to my first. I felt guilty and shame around this because I've spent a lot of time feeling that the thing that happened wasn't bad enough to count. I sometimes still get nightmares and flashbacks, but it's gotten better after therapy. I know that I have my own issues regarding the word, and it bothers me a lot when people seem to throw certain terms around without understanding their weight. But I also acknowledge that I can't stop the internet from doing its thing. I haven't told any of my college friends about this, so Laura doesn't know. At one point, she called me and started explaining how traumatized she was, and I finally snapped and said, "You're not traumatized. Stop being dramatic. You got exactly what you asked for." Now I feel guilty because I feel like I was a little harsh. She's posting online, without my name at least, that one friend that she thought she could rely on to support her is abusive and doesn't understand how being traumatized works. However, I feel honestly, Laura's being very dramatic about an event that's not about her. I called my mom to get her opinion, and she told me I could have reminded Laura about the party. While my point is not necessarily wrong, I could have been more sensitive, so now I'm unsure how wrong I am. Why would anyone need to check in on her the day of someone else's proposal? She said she might come to the after party. It's on her to decide if she'll come. OP, this is a friend who's going to require far too much attention when it comes to the little things, making everyone miserable. Do not apologize. Keep your distance and re-examine what kind of friendship you want. So Laura was told about the party ahead of time and said she might show up, but she went on not caring enough to follow up with anyone involved with it and just forgot? LOL, she clearly didn't care enough to go. Not the idiot. I cannot stand people who throw around psychological terminology with actual meanings to describe just their normal feelings. This person creates their own drama, and you want no part of it. What's more likely is that she absolutely did not forget about this party. She was hinting at how traumatic it was for her, hoping everyone would be concerned about her mental well-being during a party intended to celebrate someone else. She was probably sitting at home the entire time just waiting for everyone to call or text to check in on her during the darn celebration. And when nobody did, it bruised her fragile ego. Now she's extra traumatized. Don't you see? Other people's happiness makes her sad, and other people being the center of attention gives her PTSD. Crap like that is darn exhausting. I'd be backing the heck away from that friendship. I started dating Andy a couple of months ago. At first he tried to impress me, but the longer I knew him, the more I started to see he was selfish and thoughtless. He's a lodger in an elderly couple's house, and the older woman makes him his dinner every night. On multiple occasions, I received no food when I stayed at their house with him for a weekend. I mean, in the evening when they eat their dinner. We go out during the day and I buy breakfast or lunch at a cafe. Andy referred to dinner time the first time it happened, saying it would be roasted chicken. Of course, I thought I was getting some. At 8 p.m., the older woman called us for dinner, and I followed Andy into the sitting room. The lady brought his dinner and gave it to him. I thought mine was coming next, but it never did. He sat there and ate his dinner, and nobody offered me anything. He finished his dinner, took his plate into the kitchen, and that was that. I was too shocked and embarrassed to ask where mine was. That was it. Nothing was said about feeding me, and I was sleeping over, so they knew I wasn't eating anything. This happened again and again. The third time while Andy was eating, I said, "I think I'll order a takeaway." Andy asked why, and I said, "I'm hungry." He said it's stupid to order takeaway at this time of night. I said, "Well, am I supposed to go hungry every time I stay at your house?" He seemed annoyed that I ordered a takeaway. I'm not fat, so it's not like he's trying to get me to lose weight. Anyway, one weekend he was staying over at my house. We went to the fun fair, and when we got home, we found that my family had ordered pizza. They had ordered a whole one just for me. I took it, and Andy and I went up to my room. I put the TV on, sat down, opened the pizza box, and started eating without offering him any. By the time I was on my second slice, he reached over for some and said, "Can I have some?" I moved the box away from him and said, "No. When I'm at your house, you eat your dinner in front of me and offer me nothing, so you can't have any of mine." I ate half the pizza, and then I was full. I closed the box, picked it up, and stood up. Andy said, "If you finished, can I have the rest?" I said, "No, I'll save it for tomorrow." And I just went and put it in the fridge. He thinks I'm being a petty idiot, but I think I'm perfectly justified. Not the idiot. That's hilarious. Now you've shown him what a self-oriented idiot he is. Please drop him and find a functioning human being. If I stayed over at a partner's place and they fully had no awareness, I would need to be fed. I wouldn't look back. Everyone's the idiot here. Why are you still dating this guy? Why are you with this clown? You don't even sound like you like him. Why would either of them even bother at this point? OP, you are very dumb for playing this game with someone you clearly dislike. Go find someone worthwhile to share your food with. Seriously, break up with him. The petty games aren't going to make you happy. I do not understand why you let this happen again after the first time you stayed over. If he's renting a room and dinner is scheduled, the older woman has no obligation to feed you. He, however, never thought of you, and yet you still stayed? I wouldn't have. People cannot mistreat you if you do not allow it. I, 45 male, have a daughter, a young teen, Cindy. I also have a niece, Alexa, who's the same age. They go to the same school but have separate friend groups that aren't close. I also have a 20-year-old nephew, Jimmy, who has special needs. Alexa is very protective of her older brother. Cindy's not the nicest person, and I try to do things that fix her behavior, but I can't. Recently, Jimmy had a birthday party and got a Steam Deck. He isn't very social, so after cake and ice cream, he went off by himself to play on it. He went to the bathroom, and when he got back, the game was gone. Everyone helped look for it, but Jimmy was too stressed out, so my sister ended the party. Later that night, my niece came to my house. She ran to my daughter's room, where she was lying on her bed, and pulled the game from a drawer under the bed. Alexa then asked why the heck she stole her brother's game. Cindy said it's not like he even understands how to use it. Alexa instantly punched her, and then the girls' fight started. My wife and I managed to separate them. Alexa just walked out of the house. Cindy was on the floor crying, asking what we would do. I then got a call from my sister cursing me out and telling me that Cindy was no longer welcome at her home and that I better be lucky she wasn't pressing charges. My wife thinks I should tell my sister to punish Alexa. I told her I was not going to enable our daughter's behavior and that I was taking her phone until she apologized to my sister and Jimmy. My wife said I should be protecting my daughter. I told her I was, and that she'd just get a taste of the real world if she continued her behavior. Not the idiot. You're right. She needs to learn real-world consequences. There are probably better ways, but stealing from and mocking a disabled person is going to lead to several more butt whoopings if she doesn't cut it out. Your daughter stole his main birthday present from him at his birthday party. What sort of psycho does that? That's absolutely unhinged behavior. It's fine because he's not really a person in her eyes. What a little sociopath. OP, it sounds like your wife is the one who's entitling your daughter's behavior, and she's enabling her to become a spoiled brat and a thief. Info: How did Alexa know the game was in Cindy's room? This is super important, and I feel like many people are missing it. I think there's a high likelihood she was bragging about stealing it from her disabled cousin online. She probably mentioned where she hid it from her parents, which is how Alexa knew exactly where to look. Which, if that's the case, her online presence clearly needs more monitoring or cut off. OP needs to investigate this. My parents are hosting extended family for a couple of weeks. It's my maternal and paternal grandparents and my aunt and uncle on my paternal side. It was going okay until last weekend when my parents brought up a topic of conversation that I, nearly adult male, am so tired of hearing and being pulled into. So let me explain the non-adoption and why it bugs me. My dad had a kid before he met my mom, my half-sister, 24. My dad had primary custody of my half-sister. Her mom was in and out of her life. My parents met when my half-sister was 2 and got married when she was 4. Her mom was in and out of prison, was on and off of drugs and alcohol, and she was disruptive to my half-sister's life and to my parents. She refused to stay away but refused to be a good mom too. When I was 2 or 3, her mom offered to walk away for good, but only if they removed any chance that she could be sued for child support, etc. My mom was willing to adopt my half-sister. The 3 adults wanted this to happen, but because of my half-sister's age, her wishes held a lot of weight, and she didn't want my mom to adopt her, and it never happened. So her mom kept the back and forth for a few more years before giving up the relationship with my half-sister completely. My parents were so upset that my half-sister rejected having a stable and loving mom in my mom for a woman who even she admitted was so mean to her and didn't take good care of her. But my half-sister never really liked my mom from what I've witnessed. It's a really big deal to my parents, and I grew up hearing about it way more than I needed to. They told me details I didn't need to know when I was too young to be hearing them. They would suck the fun out of things by bringing it up. And I know they hold it against my half-sister. They think my sisters, both young teens, and I do too. But the lack of closeness has nothing to do with the adoption, and everything to do with our half-sister not wanting to be close to us. I asked my parents to stop bringing it up around a few times. They ignored me until they said they got it and would listen. But last weekend, my parents brought it up while the family was over, and I didn't want to hear about it. So I got up in the middle of breakfast, left the house, and didn't come back all day. My parents were so mad at me for that. I told them I couldn't listen to them talk about it again, and they couldn't help themselves, but I wasn't going to turn it into a fight to stop them. They told me walking out without permission is bad enough, but when we have family here, it's disrespectful. And they told me I'm old enough to know and do better. This was a sore point the whole week. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents are beating a dead horse. Your stepsister's not wanting to be adopted. You've told them to stop bringing it up to you. If they want to have the conversation, they need to talk to the person who apparently still is refusing to be adopted. Question: why do they drag you into the conversation? You had nothing to do with the non-adoption. I don't really know, but my theory is that they want it to be a big deal for the whole family, and maybe my half-sister will regret her choice and apologize or something. So your parents' plan is we're going to turn the family against her, withhold our love from her until she realizes that we're the loving family she wants and needs. That's just going to drive her away more. Your poor sister's been abandoned by her mother and is being driven away by her father and his wife. And now they're trying to poison you guys against her? Wow. You are not the idiot. Your parents are definitely idiots, and so is her bio mom. I, 26 female, have been with my fiance, 27 male, whom I'll call Mark, for 6 years. Those 6 years have been great. We've had fights and issues, but never something big that gave me a red flag. He's a great man to me, and he always treats me so well. Now here comes the issue. Mark has left the wedding planning to me, since he knows I love this type of stuff, and I've always had a vision for what my wedding's gonna look like. My soon-to-be mother-in-law has very loud opinions on a lot of things that I want for my wedding. When we went to the store to try on dresses, it was me, my sister, my mother, and my mother-in-law. I knew I wanted a fitted, off-the-shoulder wedding dress, and so many gorgeous ones were my exact type. When I tried them on, everyone loved them except my mother-in-law. She was very loud about her opinion and even went as far as to say I looked like a stripper. Her comments started a fight between my family and her, which resulted in her crying to my fiancé. That day, me and my fiancé fought, and he said that my family was in the wrong for upsetting his mother over a silly comment. I eventually gave in and got a dress that made everyone happy, a ball gown type of dress. I come from a family of florists, so my family was covering for all of that. My mom owns her own flower shop, and she's the most popular in our town. I love, love, love flowers. I've always had them since I was a kid. This is something I'm not willing to give up. For my wedding, I've always wanted a wildflower theme. I chose an outdoor venue and had a plan to decorate the place with my choice of flowers. I don't know why, but my mother-in-law was so against the idea of the flowers I chose. When she saw the bouquet and the flowers I chose, she yelled at me that this was tacky, that the people she invited to my wedding were going to think that her son was marrying someone cheap. She told me that red roses would look so much better and more romantic. I refused, so she went to Mark about it. Mark and I got into a fight because I absolutely refused to give this up. He told me it was just a small thing I had to give up, and that we'd be happy with our new life after this was over. Even after the argument, I was adamant about my decision. I wasn't backing down, which resulted in him leaving the house and going to his mother's. This has been going on for 3 days, and he still hasn't texted me or called me back. Am I the idiot for not giving in to my soon-to-be mother-in-law? Oh, hun, this isn't a mother-in-law problem. It's a fiancé problem. He left the wedding planning to you because you had a clear vision, but he took her side every time mother-in-law pitched a fit. This will not change after the I do's. At the very least, have a calm talk with him and reiterate why he left the wedding planning to you and how your vision is constantly being criticized by his mother. Why is he sticking up for her? It's not her wedding. I will tell you right now, if you caved to her on your wedding, you would be fighting over baby names and how to raise them. You're not swaddling them right. You're not burping them properly. Prepare for war with your husband as her ally, not yours. OP already caved on the dress for some ball gown type that sounds nothing like what she wanted. His mom sounds like a mother-in-law who'll be a nightmare to deal with, and he seems to be a whiny mama's boy. The whole thing is a big red flag. I think OP should return the dress and cancel anything she can, get any money back on deposits, etc. Because if it were me, the whole wedding would be canceled. If he can't tell his mom to butt out, this is not the man she should marry.